Okay, so at the beginning of game, uh, at the beginning of game this week, my shapers, my GMs, basically said, okay, so we're gonna send out a bunch of undead. We're gonna send out a bunch of undead. All right, you're all gonna be ghouls, but Elf, you're gonna be a specter, and you're gonna work on your own, and you're not gonna hang out with the other undead. You're gonna sort of move on your own and fight on your own, and don't meet up with them because you in that same group with the ghouls would be too strong. And I thought, cool, I wonder what things specters can do, because I don't know the stats, right? And I get told, and I look in the book, that they swing for 3 magic body drain, which means that every time I hit something, I gain 3 health points back. They take it straight to the body. Their armor won't save them. Their armor won't defend them. And I get 3 health points back. So if you're fighting me with even a magic sword swinging for 3s or 2s, I basically can't be killed. Like, if I'm on top of you, you're going to die. You know? And it's like a living shadow, basically, the specter. It's like a living shadow with like glowing purple eyes is the like physical description of it. So late Friday night, but early in the game, I was running around as a specter. It's like, seeing who I could catch out. And one of the people I caught out, and I'm looking like around town, and I'm hiding, and I'm moving through the trees, and I'm like, staying in the dark and stuff, waiting for somebody to be on their own, because specters are smarter, and they have the ability to just shadow walk away if they get in trouble, they can sort of like hide in the shadows, basically. So you just count shadow walk 1, shadow walk 2, shadow walk 3, and you're gone. So if I ever got in trouble, I could just disappear. The first person I ran into was one of my healer friends, and I saw them walking alone, and I thought, oh, good. I might kill this person. They're just like a clothy, and I'm a specter. So, okay, here we go. And I went to attack her, and I was thinking, like, I hope she throws some healing at me, because that'll blow me up. Like, anything like 15 healing or above will just blow me up, because specters have like 50 body, like, total, and healing does 4 times as much to undead. So whatever you do in healing, it does 4 times that to the undead. So I was thinking, if she throws some healing at me, she might survive, but I'm not going to pull any punches. So I'm coming towards her, and she points her finger at me, and she says, like, necromantic arts, because she knows undead stuff. Necromantic arts, what kind of undead are you? And I said, I'm a specter. And she goes, oh, okay. And sort of like preps to fight as she's backing up, and I run at her, and I just start swinging in for 3 body drain, 3 body drain, 3 body drain, 3 body drain, and she's blocking, and she's going like, oh fuck, gets a little bit of distance and starts incanting a spell. I invoke healing to grant, and she like drops it because she's in mid combat, and she flubs the words, and she goes like, miscant, and I'm hitting her, and she's doing a good job blocking with her staff, and eventually she's hitting me for 5 magic with the staff. Like, she hates undead, so she gets her like hatred bonus. She's hitting me for like 5 magic with the staff, and I back up a little, and immediately she takes notice, and she goes, I invoke healing to grant, heal 10 magic healing. And it hits me, and I'm probably down enough, and I explode. Had she not hit me with that spell, I would have eaten her alive. And there was nobody else around. It would have been a dead character. Sad days, but I'm kind of glad I didn't. They're my friend. I don't want to kill their character. But, yeah, so that was cool. I had another couple of moments that were like that, where I like sort of found one person alone, and they either bolted super fast, or they managed to fight me off. They were strong enough to fight me off. I didn't kill anyone as the specter, but I definitely made people scared. I shadow walked in front of a guy, and he got so scared he actually physically hurt me. I popped out in front of him, and I was out of character. you got your hand on your head, sort of walking around out of character, which means that like you can't be seen. And I stood in front of this orc guy, and I came in the game, and I went Shadow Walk 1, Shadow Walk 2, Shadow Walk 3, popped out, and started swinging into him. And the first thing he does is like panic with this great axe that he's holding, and like uppercut me to the chin. You know, so I'm swinging in, and he just goes like, boom. You know, it hits me right under the chin with this like buffer great axe, and I went down. I fell down like onto my back. It was like a pretty good hit. Yeah, illegal hit, obviously, and I was a little mad, but they panicked, you know. And instead of getting like too pissy about it or anything, I just, while I was on my back and everybody's like, "Are you okay?" You know, I went Shadow Walk 1, Shadow Walk 2, Shadow Walk 3. It just disappeared again. Like, I don't want to be in this. I just like roll away. So yeah, that was my time as a Spectre. I also got to play a Necromancer, which is always fun. I got sent into a mod with a bunch of ghouls, and basically I was like their leader. You know, like, I was the Necromancer who'd like raised all these ghouls. And that was really fun because the town is a little bit less equipped than it usually is. Or it was a little bit less equipped than it usually is to deal with this kind of stuff this weekend. So it was scary for them, you know, that the like ghouls are involved. And I basically just hung back, you know, I just hung back, and the ghouls did the work. But it was cool to sort of like be in the shadows, like, you know, controlling them, and they'd like come over to me, and I'd tell them to like go do that, or you know, buff them with some necromancy or what have you. And there's one time where this guy who plays like an Einhard berserker, like a Viking berserker, my friend Sadler, runs out of the tavern berserking, and like smashes one of the ghouls into the ground. He's clearly berserking because he's not like focused on defending himself, and he's like smashing this ghoul into the ground, like pounding the shit out of it, and it's dead. And he turns around and he sees me coming towards him, and he goes like, ah, like charges towards me, and I just go, I invoke necromancy to inflict necrotic blast, and I hit him in the chest for 15 infliction, and he just dropped. And as soon as he dropped, there were like 2 ghouls eating his corpse at least, because there were ghouls around outside, and you know, they get drawn to any corpse and they start eating it. It was pretty cool. It's stuff like that makes the game for me, just like little moments. And while the ghouls were eating his corpse, they're sitting around his corpse, you know, like doing eating motions and saying like consuming corpse 1, consuming corpse 2. It's a 60 count, so it takes a minute to eat a corpse for a ghoul. And while they're eating his corpse, I'm looking over at the door to the tavern, where there are a bunch of people sort of huddled up, like with their shields, you know, like trying to fend off ghouls and like using the door as a choke point. I look over to the tavern and I'm like, you call yourselves heroes? You're just gonna let your friend be eaten by my minions? You know, like that kind of stuff. And it's just, anytime I get to monologue just a little bit is, love it. I love it so much. So yeah, I think that's probably the stories from this weekend. It was a good time. I was very tired. It was a very, very physically demanding event. I was running and, you know, jumping and whatever the hell, like a lot. The snow was like ankle deep and like pretty crusty, like pretty crisp. So like your foot would go through and you'd have to like walk through, like trudge through it, sort of thing. So that, you know, that was a thing as well. It was cool. Oh, last thing about the Necromancer. I got to, like, Darth Vader force choke someone, because one of the spells in Necromancy is called Death's Grasp. And what it does is it's basically, like, you hit them with a packet, and then from long range, you do this, and you just, like, choke them out. You do a 20 count of garroting, like garroting 1, garroting 2, garroting 3, you know, like, and hold your fist out and just choke them to death. I got to, as a Necromancer, force choke somebody. I didn't kill them, but it was cool to just be like, yeah. I was, you know, who doesn't want to force choke a guy? It took them a while. It took them a little bit to see what's happening. Did the person you did it to sell it? Yeah, it was Jacob. It was Catalyst. You'll see him in the Blades game tonight. But it was Jacob. I hit him with a Death's Grasp, and I saw him go like, you know, like trying to hold his neck and get whatever it is off his neck while I'm just like, yeah, crush, you know. And then a bunch of people stabbed me, but you know, that's what happens.